Hi, I'm Larry Magid, the CEO of ConnectSafely.org, which is the U.S. host of Safer Internet Day. And I'm speaking today with Connelly, who is the Senior Vice President and co-founder of the Meet Group. And speaking of Meet, we met when Catherine was still in what the predecessor of the Meet Group. It was a social media company aimed at teens, but now the Meet Group is one of the major online dating conglomerates. I'm not sure that's the word you would use, but I know that you guys operate more than one dating site. But let's start off by talking a little bit about what the Meet Group is and what are some of your sites and services.
Yeah, so the Meet Group owns and operates the most engaging dating communities in the world. They include MeetMe, Skout, Tagged, LOVOO, and GROWLr. We serve over millions of daters daily. Our community sends 70 million chats per day. Each month, our live streaming solutions entice our community to spend more than 1 billion minutes in video. And we're located in New Hope, Pennsylvania. And actually, we were recently acquired by the Parship Meet Group. And Parship Meet also owns and operates leading matchmaking brands eHarmony, Parship, and Elite Partner.
Great. And let's start out by, I guess, what we consider sort of the elephant in almost every room right now, which is COVID-19. That's got to have an impact on online dating.
Yes. Despite the pandemic, people were looking for ways that they could still meet and do so safely. You do need those connections in your life. It's so important to people to, be forming relationships. And so we actually started working with our Safer Dating Advisory Board of epidemiologists and infectious disease experts to figure out guidelines to help our communities date safer if they do choose to be meeting in person. But then also on our apps, just on the other side of this, since February 2020, we actually saw the number of speed dating rounds on our live platform double to nearly 250,000 per day. And our time spent in video increased by more than 30%. And so, yeah, we saw huge engagement increases just in that video platform because, again, people were, unable to socialize in person the way we always have. And so now, now we're on Zoom and and getting acquainted with that as well.
It must be both gratifying and probably to some extent frustrating to be able to meet somebody online, have a potentially deep video conversation, develop a real relationship, but not yet be able to physically be in touch with each other. I mean, be together. Are you getting any feedback from your daters as to how they're handling that?
Yeah, so we really see two kinds of things happening. And so, and this is mostly anecdotal, just from survey responses and write-ins. But we see there are some people that actually seem to kind of jump into, a much more high intention relationship much faster. And so we're saying, maybe they're decided to move in together sooner than maybe they would have in non-COVID times because the threat of lockdown, they'd rather be locked down with someone.
Right.
We've seen people write in stories like that. And then on the other side, we've seen people kind of say, you know what, I'm cool just, reflecting, learning more about myself and just kind of hanging out for community and deepening friendships. So there's definitely two sides of that coin where there's some people that want to, kind of fast track relationships and other people that are, more willing to just kind of, wait for a safer time.
I think it's probably safe to say that the sort of the quick hookup, which has never been your brand to begin with, is probably less of a phenomenon today than it would have been certainly for health reasons. I mean, I would imagine people are hopefully avoiding that.
Yes, I think a few other dating brands have actually, released some information about that it is something that they're seeing an increase in intent and very intentional dating,
Yeah.
rather than hookup culture and things like that.
Right. Well, let's talk about dating safety. And I mean, I've given this some thought because we actually included dating safety in our seniors guide to online safety, because I'm sure you have plenty of people over 40, 50, 60, 70 among your daters. But in general, what is some of your advice if you're going on, whether it's a virtual date or a physical date, or just talking to somebody that you've met online, how to do it safely?
Number one is if you're going to meet in person, always meet in a public place. That's just the number one safety tip. If you're going to, and also make sure that someone or that someone you trust knows where you're going, and where you will be and when. Other important things, always arrange your own transportation, avoid drugs and alcohol. If you can get an unsafe, if you get an unsafe vibe, trust your gut and get out of the situation. Um, there's actually some cool technologies available that can help you with some of this. For instance, we partner with a company called You're Safe, which is an app that lets you help stay connected in an emergency. So the friend that knows where you're going, they can actually see where you're going, and you can continue to be in contact with them. And it has some other cool safety features as well, like being able to call emergency services quickly
Mhm.
if needed, and discreetly. And so those are kind of important for meeting in person. But then also online, there's a lot of other things that you should keep in mind, whether you're on a dating app or Facebook
Yeah,
or
I was going to
email.
ask you about scams and red flags, how you know that you need to be extra careful with this person. Maybe there's something fishy, maybe there isn't, but what are those red flags?
Anytime anyone's asking for you to share personal information, so your social security number, your home address, details about your daily routine, that's a major red flag, and you shouldn't ever share any of that personal information. Also, anyone asking for money,
Mhm.
never send money, even if the person claims to be in an emergency. And if you are in a situation where someone has asked you for money, what you should do is report it to the site's or app's trust and safety teams. You should also meet the person. I always think by video first too.
Mhm.
So right now during COVID, you should definitely meet by video first. So our apps and many dating apps have video service already built in.
Mhm.
And so you should really pre-screen any dates on video, because it's a much richer experience than just looking at a person's photos, which could be old and
Or
and
fake. It could be somebody else's photo, right?
right. And also, and just exchanging text chats isn't nearly the same as actually talking to someone. So a video date can really help you disqualify a bad date and see if you have enough chemistry to actually date them in person before risking any type of exposure. And so, you know, you're kind of looking for two things. You're looking for they are who they say they are when you're seeing them, but also do you have chemistry? Is this worth pursuing? And so not only is it safer, but I think it also can save you a lot of time.
And then that brings up the issue of going off app. If someone says, this is great, let's continue this on WhatsApp or on email or on text, or let's use a different video app to, let's go into Zoom or whatever. Um, what's your advice about when or whether or if people should ever do that?
I think a lot of it goes down to trusting your gut and the rapport that you have built with the person. I think if someone's asking to switch to different platforms, once your phone number immediately after you only just sent a few chats back and forth, that's probably too soon. But if you've been chatting on the app for a while and it's starting to become something, and they want to have an actual phone call with you, I think that that is something that people will have to judge their comfort levels. But if they trust their gut and they feel they've had a good rapport with the person, it does make sense to say, okay, let's go on Zoom.
Which is a good reason, if you are going to date, to use a legitimate app it's been well vetted and properly managed. So I think that's good advice in general. Catherine Connelly, the Senior Vice President of Marketing from the Meet Group, thank you so much.
Thank you.